Right now, relatives of the victims aboard that Germanwings flight are gathering near the crash site in the French Alps. Hello everyone, I'm Dan Kleffler in New York. Joining us now from the French Alps, the scene of that crash, ABC's Molly Hunter joining us. And Molly, you're at that staging area for that search and recovery effort that's going on. Set the scene for us.
All right, Dan, we are here. So on this side is actually the media scrum, and right behind me is the field. You can actually see some of the helicopters still there, where helicopters have been taking off and landing all day. They started at sunrise for day 3 of recovery, and the actual crash site is about 5 miles from here. It is incredibly treacherous to get there, really rugged terrain, and the recovery workers actually have to go up on a helicopter and then belay down from that helicopter into the crash site. And we know that military has been helping out along with highly specialized mountain rescue, highly trained rescuers, specifically wearing harnesses and heavy mountain gear, and they've been bringing back debris all day. But the priority here, Dan, is finding that second black box and getting that second black box off the mountain and into the hands of investigators. And just past those helicopters is actually the staging area where families will start arriving. So we saw pictures just moments ago of families rolling into a nearby village. We hear there will be a vigil of sorts before they come this direction. Now, some families have told the Ministry of Interior that they plan to stay just a few hours, and some families plan to stay a few days. Now, we just spoke with the Ministry of Interior spokesperson who said it's not possible for families to actually get to that crash site now, but to be determined if that changes in the next couple of days.
Molly, do we have any idea about how many families are going to be coming there, given the fact that there were 150 people that were on board that plane?
We do, Dan. We were just told 250 to 300 people have arrived already, and we expect more. What's interesting also is that we learned this in the presser from the prosecutor in Marseille earlier today, is that the victims' families are being kept separate from the pilots' families. Now, obviously, that was a direct decision following the revelations in that audio from that black box last night, but we found that very interesting. So we know that the victims' families are coming here. We're not exactly sure where the pilots' families will be going as well.
Molly, I know the teams are still in the process of recovering the remains from this crash. Do we have any idea how long that identification process will take?
Dan, we know that identification process has already started. And what's interesting we learned today is that actually the recovery teams are loading those remains, and they are remains, we're not seeing body bags, are loading those remains onto stretchers for dignity. We spoke with a military commander earlier today who said that we still see those as human bodies. So those are coming down in helicopters. They've started to come down today, and the identification process has started now that the families are starting to arrive. And we're also told that the families will be asked for their DNA. Now, not everyone will be required to give their DNA, but given the nature of this crash, given the absolute horrendous nature of this crash and of that crash site, the DNA will be necessary to complete that identification process, of course.
Molly, so many of these family members are dealing with the grief having lost a loved one, and at the same time this investigation is ongoing for the specific cause on this. Now the CEO of the airline saying that it is believed that the plane was deliberately brought down by the co-pilot. Do the victims' families believe that there is enough information that is coming out quickly enough as this investigation is going on?
I can't speak to how the families are feeling, but I can tell you in the presser today, the prosecutor expressed frustration that he wasn't getting information in real time. He actually said that New York Times had more information than he had, which is fairly stunning because actually from the beginning, the French authorities have been very, very well organized, and we've been getting information very quickly as it's been coming out. Now, I can't speak again to what the families know right now, but I can tell you a little bit about that presser and how it unfolded. We learned almost immediately in that presser that the prosecution and the investigators had determined that this action was voluntary, that during those 8 minutes, the co-pilot was in the cockpit alone. And we had heard reports about this overnight, but we know specifically what happened now. So the pilot and the 28-year-old co-pilot were in that cockpit by themselves when the pilot left to go to the bathroom. That door locked, and the pilot came back, violently tried to break down that door, to smash back into the cockpit, and there was silence from the cockpit. So both the pilot and air traffic control tried to get in touch with the co-pilot, but all that audio recording, all that we can hear on that audio recording is breathing. And what's interesting about that, Dan, actually, is that it's not heavy breathing, it's not labored breathing, and we don't hear any other sound. So we know that that co-pilot was alive until impact.
Molly, lastly, before we let you go, I just wanted to ask a little bit about this particular area because I know that so much has been made of the fact that it is very difficult for investigators to get into the actual crash site itself there. As these relatives, as these family members are starting to make their way there, is there an anticipation that they intend on staying there for an extended period of time, essentially carrying out a grieving process in that area?
So as I mentioned, we know that about 250 to 300 family members have arrived, and as we're speaking here, they're actually just up the hill at a small village called Le Vernet, at a hillside vigil that is closed to press. We don't know how long that vigil will go tonight, and then we expect them to come this way. Now, we're told by the French Interior Ministry that they will make every effort to accommodate family members that wish to stay a couple days or that wish to go up to the crash site. Like I said, at this point, it's not possible to go up to the crash site, but we do know that some family members may just stay the afternoon, maybe bust out this evening, but we imagine that some will actually want to spend a few days here as information continues to come out.
ABC's Molly Hunter with us from that staging area in the French Alps. Molly, thank you for that. Stay with ABC News Digital for continuing coverage of this mid-air mystery crash in the Alps. You can keep up with this story in real time, downloading the ABC News app and star in the story for updates on the go. I'm Dan Kleffler in New York.